Welcome back to this Difference Maker Leadership Podcast series for 2023. We are using this series to share the stories and learnings of successful leaders that are making a positive impact in the world around us, with the hope that we, the Total Diamond Sea community, all of our friends and family, are inspired and challenged to greater heights. So with that, I'd like to welcome today's special guest leader, Miss Suzanne Walker, who is the owner and operator of Laura's Cheesecake and Bakery, mother of 5, grandmother to 16.
Yes, thanks, Jeffrey. Thanks so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Absolutely mutual, Suzanne. It is absolutely an honor and a privilege to get to talk leadership with you today, because I have, had a front row seat at times,
Yes.
and seen firsthand over the years how you have sincerely and passionately invested in others, and led and served others, not just on your team at work, but your family, your friends. And I've been thinking, even I've watched you so many times with the customers in your restaurant, sit down and serve them and love them and lead them. And that's been so powerful and impactful to me. So I'm just excited to get to talk leadership with you and hear your story.
Thank you. What a huge compliment.
No,
Thanks so much.
No, thank you. So with that, if you don't mind, I'd like to just kind of jump in with a bit of an overview, highlight reel of your story of kind of journey of life and leadership, kind of what leads you to today.
Wow, it's quite a journey.
I'm sure.
And as I was thinking back over the years, I thought, wow, I really started leading children.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really where I fell in love with leadership, was leading children. And then from there, that grew to leading the adults that lead children. Then that grew into leading adults that lead adults,
mm-hmm.
And so it's just interesting how all of that has evolved. And I've done a lot of different things in a lot of different places. But in all of them, it's called for some point of leadership.
Absolutely.
To some degree. And from there, just so grateful for the people that called out the leader in me along the way and helped nurture that and grow that and develop that. And just so grateful, because I don't think without those people investing in me that I would have been able to see that or recognize that, and certainly not grow in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you tie together that being a mom, being a grandmother, leading kids. I know a piece of your story is children's ministry, but
Yes.
Can you speak a bit specifically to kind of, we all know what being a mom means to some extent, have a view of that. Speak a little bit to kind of what your overview of kind of your career path, because I think that will be interesting and valuable context for the listeners, as far as you've had a pretty diverse, pretty broad journey.
Very
So
diverse,
what are kind of the stops along the way?
Well, like I said, my journey started in children's ministry, and it was, again, someone that called out the leader in you. It was, they needed volunteers at church on Wednesday night for children's choir, and my youth minister's wife asked me, as a young mom, I wasn't even a mom, just a young married woman, if I would do that. But as I started doing that, I found that to make that effective and meaningful and to survive 45 minutes on a Wednesday night with kids.
Far outnumbered.
That's right, that you had to plan. And just had a great team of teachers that we came together and we planned once a month and had everything lined out. And it just worked. And it ran smoothly. And I didn't really recognize that as leadership, but somebody did, because then you were asked to do more. And then from that, when I went to a new church, I obviously got involved in the same ministry. And then they asked me to be the coordinator of that. So then I started overseeing the adults that led the children's choirs and helped them plan and helped them prepare. And then from that point, they actually hired me to be the children's minister. And so I did that for a lot of years. And then after that, went to work as an office manager. And talking about your children, kids are just so honest. And, your kids, probably your kids too, are always excited if they think you're the boss or you're the head of something.
If they only knew what that means.
Yes, exactly. And one day my daughter said, well, you're an office manager. What does that mean? What do you do? Does that mean you're the boss of everybody? And I said, well, Leslie, let me tell you, it's a lot like being a mom. You just go to work and do it for grown-ups.
True sometimes, right?
Yeah, it is true. Just the same thing. And so, really, for me, leadership comes down to two things, and what it means to me personally, and what I try to live by is just helping people do better and be better.
There you go.
Whatever role you're in, And so after children's ministry, I went into banking, and I would say probably the sweet spot of my career life was at Guaranty Bank and Trust, where I started in customer service with the goal of implementing a customer service program, and just an incredible ride of just being a part of changing culture and creating that culture and bringing everyone on board. Amazing.
A lot of that lives on today. Sorry to interject, but a lot of that lives on today, the work that you started those years ago.
I'm grateful it does.
No
because,
question.
Part of being a leader is raising up people behind you, and knowing when to leave and knowing when someone can come behind you and do it better.
Right.
So I certainly hope that no place I left has not been able to go on and survive, because then that means I haven't done my job as a leader in raising up the next generation leaders.
So you were in banking for a long time,
for a long time.
To the restaurant business.
Yes, I know. I know. To this day, people are like, what? I'm like, yeah, sometimes I ask myself that. But no, really, it was the same thing that attracted me to banking. And you and I know we've talked about this because I worked for you then. But I just saw that, I loved Laura's. I loved what Laura's had meant to me and what it meant to the Mount Pleasant community. And I just felt like, again, I could make a difference, that maybe I could come in and help people do better and be better. And I love it.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing. That's when I went home and told my husband that's what I wanted to do. He's like, have you lost your mind? It's a restaurant. And
No, it's great.
I'm like, but it's the same thing. It's leading people. It's serving people. And it's taking the same thing and really, it's true. I've taken the same principles all the way from children's choir through where I am now.
Yeah.
It's you just apply them in different settings to different people, and requires some tweaking and some thinking and a lot of creativity sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing.
I love that so much, because when we say the word leader, so often people's minds get stuck on the career title, the job title, the boss, the manager.
When I'm the leader.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love your story and that journey, your career journey, because and the kind of dots you're connecting there, because everybody has a leadership role in some fashion, right? At home,
absolutely.
Amongst friends and the community, everybody has at least the capacity to be a leader where they are, and lead up, down, and around.
Yes, and just what we were talking about, even Saturday night when we were together, we were talking about kids and how we survived a blended family with 5 kids and what that looked like. And, just you have to get creative, because you've got all these different little personalities and all these different backgrounds. And, we talked about even just coming up with the blitz when you've got the clean freaks and you've got those that really don't care. It doesn't bother them if stuff gets put away or not. How, to work to a compromise that wins for everyone.
Win-win. What's the win-win?
Right. And so, that just... You take that and it goes everywhere.
Yeah, I love it. Incredible journey. So from that, your kind of journey of life and leadership, from mom and children's ministry and banking to restaurant business, what would you say were kind of a few key defining moments or lessons learned that really shaped your view on leadership and the leader that you are today?
Okay. And you just mentioned one of them, the leading up, leading out. That's from John Maxwell's 360-degree leader.
Okay.
And that was really the first thing that helped me connect the dots. Maybe I had some pieces of leadership that helped me learn how to lead well. Just, what you said, that so many people, especially, and I don't mean this, I can say this now because I'm older, but younger people, you come in and you think, well, when I'm the leader or when I manage or when I get the promotion, then I'll be a leader. And that really helped me see there's always a place for you to be a leader, and that you always have opportunities. The 360-degree leader is about leading up, leading out, leading down. But most importantly is that centerpiece, and that's leading yourself. And that's what was critical to me. I feel like that's when things started to click and change for me, where I realized, okay, it all starts with me.
Right.
And it goes back to Chuck Swindoll has a great quote on attitude, but what he says is the one string that we have is our attitude, that really the only thing we can control is us and our attitude and how we respond to things. So it doesn't do any good to blame the people that are leading you, doesn't do any good to blame people that you're working with or people that are following you or not following you. It all starts with yourself.
Right.
And leading yourself well.
Sure. How do you manage through when you're in that you have to lead yourself when you're going through, call it sticky situations, challenging times, a bad boss or a bad coworker, difficult subordinates, whatever it is. How do you manage that? I mean, how do you maintain that mindset and manage through that?
Well, for like the leading up, let's just start there. Okay, leading up. I always felt like that it was my job if someone had put their confidence in me,
right,
and brought me underneath them to learn something, then it wasn't just about me making myself look good. That I was just as much there to help them be better and do better. Again, going back to that,
of course,
And so if I had an assignment from them, it was staying in touch with them, making sure I was clear on what they wanted me to do, how they wanted it to do. And the most frustrating leaders for me were where I couldn't get clarity because I'm just one of those people. Some people don't have to have a lot, but I need to know where the target is. I'd rather, shoot with an arrow than a rifle.
Right.
Or a shotgun. I mean, is that right? Yeah, whichever
rifle than a shotgun, right?
Yeah, rifle than a shotgun.
One of those guns.
Yeah, one of those guns. But just trying to figure out what their expectations were, meeting with them, understanding that. And then even with your peers, those to me seem to be the stickiest situations because they can be the most political.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Where everyone's looking out for number one. And if you get a promotion, then what does that say about me? And if I don't get one? And so it kind of can be the place where everyone's clawing and scratching and clamoring. And so to me, it was just being clear and being respectful and communicating, okay, if I were coming behind me, how would I want to leave this situation for a peer?
Right. Yeah. Makes sense.
And then, leading down, sometimes that was asking people, hey, as a manager, tell me a few things that I'm doing right. But what things am I doing, quite honestly, that are annoying you or frustrating you and make it hard for you to do what I'm asking you to do.
Right.
And for one of the people that I worked with at the bank who was amazing, and she's gone on to do great things since I've left, I can remember, and honestly, those can be tough times and tough calls and tough conversations to have. And, we were probably at a tough place in our business relationship. And, I just remember there being a project that we needed to advance. And, you start delegating things out. And then I tend to be overly helpful. Like if people come to me, sometimes I think they want me to do more than I wanted to do. Well, that would be frustrating to her.
Okay.
And so I just learned to ask her a question. Okay, here's what we're trying to do. Are you owning this? Am I owning this piece? And do you want me in or do you want me to step back?
Yeah.
Or are we doing it together? And if we're doing it together, what piece am I having and what piece are you taking?
Right.
So we're all very clear on what we're doing.
It seems like through each of those kind of explanations you just offered, it's a common theme might be that you consistently are kind of building the bridge to trust.
Yes.
Through opening up those opportunities for clarity, opening up those opportunities for communication, to kind of clear the air, make sure we're on the same page, and trust builds through that, right?
Yes. And trust is just huge. Maybe it's because I have to trust someone before I want to follow them.
Right.
And so probably because we tend to lead by the values that we hold dear.
Right, of course.
And it's just important that people, trust and respect. You just have to have those two things.
Absolutely. So along those lines, are there any other things that you would say, things or stories or situations that you would say were kind of the defining moments or lessons learned over the course of time?
So the 360-degree leader was huge, but then I can remember sitting in a meeting one day at the bank with Ty Apston, and it was during a changing of the guard as we say, we had a CEO that was retiring and stepping down, and he was moving into that role. And I can just remember where he had a key leadership meeting, and basically what he talked about that day was lead, follower, get out of the way. And it wasn't like where it scared us to death, but what it helped me to do, and what it helps me to define is okay. Because even as the owner of Laura's,
right,
okay, and as my kids would say, you're the big boss, right? But, or I guess my grandkids now,
right?
But really, there's aspects where I'm leading, but there's days that I'm following Jose.
Right,
like when I go down into his territory, I'm like, tell me what you need,
right?
You know, and then there's times when I have to ask him or ask Luce or ask Robin, okay, do you just need me to get out of the way?
Right.
Because to build them up as leaders and let them lead well.
Yeah.
We all have to know which lane we're in.
Right.
At what time.
I love that. So much value in that situational awareness. Lead, follower, get out of the way. And I can just brainstorming through that real quickly, thinking about what happens when you should be getting out of the way, but you're trying to lead.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. Or, you should be following, but you're trying to get out of the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, and for me, I guess those key things came down to, obviously, every day in every situation, knowing where you are. But seasons, there's seasons when roles change and things change and life changes. And it's important to know, okay, is this a season where I need to lead?
Right.
And based on the knowledge and what I have, am I a better leader or follower in this area?
Right.
And even, like I said, as a leader, you can be developing and be leading a team.
Sure.
But you're still following someone else that's leading you, and just understanding, okay, growing in all of those areas.
Right.
But I think my personal opinion, sometimes in business, we miss it when it's time to get out of the way. And that can mean a lot of things. That can mean you have to really be in tune to yourself.
Right.
And be comfortable with your strength. And know that that's where your strengths are, and also accept your things that aren't your strengths, that someone else can do better, and know when it's time to get out of the way and let someone else do maybe something you love, but they can come in behind you and do it better. It's time to get out of the way. Yeah.
Right.
And also, if you're in a job, and I know this wouldn't be happening to anybody at Diamond C. But, knowing when your season in a position has come to an end, to be brave enough to go to your leader or your manager and have conversations. Hey, I'm just feeling like maybe it's time for me to put a period in this position. Is there a place for me to move to, or do I need to, is there more that I can do here that I don't see?
Right.
Do I need to move out of the way? Is there another place I can grow into or go to? And then, certainly for me, there comes a time when you kind of look around and you go, okay, I don't really feel like there's no one behind me. I'm not really leading anyone.
Right.
And I'm not really sure who I'm supposed to follow or if I'm following anymore. And just having the courage to get out of the way and to start figuring out, okay, what's next for me? If this isn't the place and this isn't the time, where is my place? And, if it's a time ending here, to have the confidence to know that there's a new beginning somewhere else.
It takes so much courage to do that well. I know it does. And what you're talking about, the changing seasons, so jobs, roles, in life almost, but then that's almost the macro view of it, but then down to the micro view of, I'm picturing you buzzing around Laura's, changing that lead, follow, get out of the way hat all day long, every day. Around every corner, you're changing hats.
Yes.
Depending on the situation you're in. But even it's like the self-awareness in all those situations, in the micro and the macro. And the courage to do so. That's tough, but that's such valuable advice and perspective for all of us to really be introspective and reflective and thinking through those situations and
Well, and
seasons.
it goes back to that self-leadership,
Mm-hmm.
because we always want to get frustrated with the people around us. I mean, think
Right.
about that in your marriage, in your
No.
relationships, with your kids,
Right.
and in your work. It's
Right.
so much easier to blame it on circumstances or situations or
Right.
people. And really, it all comes back to, okay, if this is truly what it is, what can I do about it?
Right.
Because that's all I can
Right.
control.
Mm-hmm. Powerful. So I think my last question for you for today, as you think about your journey and personal leadership experiences, what advice or challenge do you have for our listeners?
Okay, just first of all, that self-leadership, to really have the courage to ask some tough questions. And if you don't have the courage to start with your peers at work or your boss at work or even the people that follow you at work, start with your spouse, start with a friend, start with, what do you see as my strengths? Where, how do you see me leading? Where do I lead well?
Right.
Where do you see some opportunities for improvement?
Okay. Kind of self-assessment.
Yes.
Gut check.
And have the courage to ask those questions, and then just understand, I think at Diamond C and there's so many things where you can come to understand yourself and your strengths and, just honest evaluation of what season am I in?
Right.
And, the book Good to Great, am I in the right seat on the bus? That's another thing. And being comfortable with who you are. Like, at Laura's, I know numbers aren't my thing. Mitchell says, numbers are your friends. I'm like, no, honey, they're your friends. They're my acquaintance. so
I can identify.
So I tell everyone he's the head and I'm the heart.
Right.
And so just knowing who to surround yourself with, where you need, gaps filled and who can fill those, and then build those people up to fill your gaps. It's not a threat to you.
Right. It's not a contest.
No, it's not a contest. And to me, you should always leave it better than you found it. And that means the position that you used to be in, someone better than you ought to come in behind you.
Yeah.
I think when I left Trinity, I was a children's minister at Trinity Baptist Church for 4 years here. And I think when I left, Donna Land came in behind me, and she was there for 18 years.
Right.
Wow, what a legacy.
Absolutely.
But we went to camp together for years. She was on our leadership team, and I think, wow, thank you, God, that I got to see
Absolutely.
the legacy go on, and so I never felt threatened by her. I never was jealous or envious. I was like, yes,
For sure.
That was amazing to be a part
That's
of
beautiful,
that.
beautiful thing, beautiful picture.
Yeah. So, and then I'm trying to think what else. Just understand your leadership style. The thing that was most freeing to me is know that I don't have to be like everybody else. I don't manage like other people. I don't lead like you.
You don't have to love the numbers.
Yes, I don't have to love the numbers, and I don't have to lead like you lead.
Right.
I can be who God made me to be and be comfortable in my skin. And do that, and I have done a lot of things. And for a lot of years, I felt insecure and inadequate because I had been to so many different places. I'm like, what's wrong with me? And I know how things look on a resume. And it's like, wow, if they see that I've done all these different things, they're going to think I'm just some kind of, job hopper or whatever.
Right.
But in one of Andy Stanley's books, the one that I want to talk about today is The Next Generation Leader, which is incredible. It talks a lot about character and helping you assess who you are. So that's a really good one. But in another one of his books, he talks about the different kinds of leadership and managers. And I came to understand that I was an entrepreneurial leader or manager. And what that means is I love to come in when there's disorder to things or when there's not really a solid foundation for things, and pull people together and pull their resources and build teams and make improvements and get it off the ground and going. But then I want to leave it like in a Donna Land's hands,
right?
At Guaranty Bank and Trust, Michelle Spigner, or somebody leave it in their hands, and I want to go do something different.
Yeah. On to the next challenge.
On to the next challenge, wherever that is, whether that's in the organization or somewhere else. So that helped me be at peace with me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's what it boils down to. At the end of the day, you're the one that has to sleep, go to bed at night, put your head on the pillow and go to sleep. And can you be at peace with the decisions you've made, knowing you made them at the right time for the right reason?
Right. Right.
That's to me someone's definition of integrity is doing the right thing at the right time for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where my peace comes from.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
So, Suzanne, you have shared so much gold with us today. Golden nuggets that anybody out there can take and apply and become a better, stronger leader. So thank you so much for kind of sharing some of your story and your wisdom with us today. So for you listeners out there, just to add a bit of learning and growth opportunity here, after our last episode, our incredible videographer over here, Brian, after the last episode, he recommended that we let the special guest leader choose a few books to give away to add value to the podcast. So what we're going to do is give away 3 books that Suzanne chose, along with some Diamond C swag. So we have Next Generation Leader by Andy Stanley. We have Relational Intelligence by Dr. Dharius Daniels.
Yes.
And the 360-Degree Leader by John C. Maxwell. So we're going to give away these 3 books with a Diamond C swag bag each for your opportunity to win one of the books. All you have to do is leave a comment on this post of your key takeaway from Suzanne's wisdom that she shared today. Your key takeaway and which book you'd like to win. And then we're going to draw the winners on March the 3rd, and we'll connect with the winners online to get your winnings delivered. So with that, thank you all for listening in today and learning with me. Now let's dig deep, and as we say at Diamond C, go and do work, love strong, and be the difference.